Shalom, call law Yahweh Bashem El Shai. Double honors to my teachers, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Yahweh Bashem El Shai, Barakatham to the hopefully elect. And I'm just basically back with another news and prophecy update. As I mentioned before in the previous video, just paying attention to current events going on worldwide, but even more so here in America. I mean, slacking, even more so out there in Europe and the UK. All right, paying attention and watching closely what's going on over there, because being that, for one, slowly but surely, that stuff, what's going on over there as far as those tier 4 lockdowns and things of that nature, it's going to come over here soon. But even more so because being that out of Great Britain came America. All right, as the scriptures talk about, the mother of Babylon will be ashamed of her. All right, which again, going into Britain. All right, yeah, just got a few articles that I want to get into. Kind of go by this fairly quickly. And then just get into how this is going to tie into what's going to be taking place over here in America. So Lord's will is edifying. But this first article, it says deaths will continue to rise as Britain still hasn't reached peak of second wave. Chris Whitty warns. And then it goes on to say deaths will continue to rise as Britain still hasn't reached peak of second wave. The chief medical officer said there were signs cases were beginning to level off, but warned the peak of the virus could still be yet weeks. The virus could still be weeks away, despite the tragic roughly 1,300 deaths reported today. It says, speaking at Downing Street this evening, Professor Whitty said he hoped over the number of new infections would start to fall, but cautioned, I'm afraid in the next week we do anticipate the number of people in the NHS and the number of deaths will continue to rise. All right, and basically, starting with the head apostle Tahar and all the men on down of Great Millstone, what's been put out there for years, all right, in decades, because basically things aren't going to get worse, all right, just like they portrayed in the movie, the Songbird movie, to where this virus that's going on around the world, right, this pandemic, in the movie they portrayed it how it mutated, and that's it seems to be the case with this C19 virus. All right, because I don't want to jump the gun too much, but supposedly it mutated again. So again, let me not jump the gun. I'm gonna continue reading on. It says infections have already finally started to drop in some parts of the UK, which were hit hardest by the new super contagious variant. But London, the southeast and east of England, were all thrown into tier 4 weeks before the national lockdown was brought in. And case numbers have begun to fall because of the tough measures. All right, so, again, them using an excuse with all these lockdowns. They're trying to, say that because of the lockdowns, and as it says here, the tough measures, all right, these draconian measures that they're taking, basically, stripping people's freedoms and rights, quote unquote, away. It's actually working. These lockdowns are actually working. It says, Professor Whitty said it was fantastic that is beginning to happen. Other areas in the north of England, however, are likely to see new infections continue to rise. But Professor Whitty warned deaths will continue to climb because of a lag between people getting infected and eventually succumbing to the disease. So, like I said, all in all, like the prophets have been saying, nothing's going to get better. All right, it's only going to get worse. And like the other saying goes, never let a good crisis go to waste. Esau, man, they will be a fool to let up on this this thing that they're going on with this virus. All right, because it's a perfect scapegoat for them to issue it their new world order. All right, they will be fools to let up on it, which again, with all this stuff coming out, it doesn't appear that they aren't going to let up on it, and hopefully they don't, you know. It says he said the peak of entry into hospitalizations is delayed by maybe a week because it takes a while between people first getting infected, getting ill enough to go to the hospital. The peak of death is unfortunately a bit later still. It says roughly 56,000 new C19 cases and roughly 1,300 further deaths were reported in the last 24-hour period, which, of course, those numbers are exaggerated. But nevertheless, it says, but the R rate is below 1 in some regions and signs the lockdown is working. It says Transit Secretary Grant Shapps said earlier that people should hesitate book their summer holidays as the nation was still in the middle of a pandemic. It says the number of people in the UK to have been given a first dose of C19 vaccine is over 3 million as of January 14, according to the government data published on Friday. A rise of 316,694 in just a day. Professor Chris Whitty said deaths would keep rising for at least a week, and we haven't reached the peak yet. It says the PM warned of the dangers of supermarkets and said people can get infected by touching something others have done. All right. So and thinking not strange, over the years, everything has been becoming more and more contactless. All right. That's not a coincidence. Because now supposedly, I did see this in another article about how something about limiting supplies in grocery stores and things of that nature because to prevent the spread, because like I said here, everything, the grocery stores and whatnot, people touching things, and it's just basically breeding grounds to spread this virus. It says it will take even longer for the number of people in hospital to fall because many can spend a number of weeks being treated. And Professor Whitty warned even once cases and hospitalizations start to fall, it is falling from an incredibly high number, and people will have to continue to be cautious to drive the number down far enough to release pressure on the NHS. It says Chief Scientific Advisor Sir Patrick Vallance also told Brits not to see cases falling as the natural peak of the virus, which meant people could start to relax the rules. This is not a natural peak. It's a peak that's going to come down because of the measures that are in place. All right, these draconian measures. These lockdowns and these shutdowns. All right. It says it is a suppressed peak. We need to keep on top of it. Lockdown measures will not suddenly be released, Professor Whitty warned. The shutdown can only begin to be relaxed by walking backwards by degrees and testing what works. All right, so basically, man, again, with that, man, more and more shutdowns, because supposedly, man, this virus and the new variant, is breaking records like every other day, whatever the case may be. All right. But again, supposedly this with the strict measures and draconian measures that they're taking, supposedly, it's working. So I'm going to the next article. And again, this is just what to expect more and more towards the end. This is what you can expect here in America very soon. All right. But further on, it says. Another article, it says UK government may only let people out once a week. The British government has reportedly discussed upping the Crown Royal restrictions even further by only allowing people to leave their homes once per week. All right, just to give some of the examples of the extreme measures and draconian measures that they've got going on out there. all right, allowing people to come out once a week, you know. And then when you read on, it says, claiming that the National Health Service is at a breaking point, the government is said to be considering implementing stricter rules, including compulsory mask wearing outdoors and banning so-called extended bubbles, where people are allowed to meet one person from another household. Right? Most chilling, however, is the revelation that cabinet ministers have privately debated preventing people from talking to each other in the street and in supermarkets, and even preventing people from leaving home more than once per week and introducing curfews. Right? So, because like I don't know if I said that this is what's going on, but this is something that they're actually proposing. It's like if I said this is, they actually went through with this, but this is what they're proposing. All right, allowing people to come out once a week, and I saw it funny because this picture, all right, somebody made a funny meme out of it. It says, me and my friends catching up at the grocery store during lockdown. All right, and if you watch this show, or this is actually a TV series on, I believe it's a Prime. I believe the name of the show is a Housemaid Tales or something like that, right? But basically, if you, because I watched quite a bit of it, and basically, if you watch the show, this picture here, it'll make sense. But basically, it was like a dystopian type setting, right? It's like a controlled type setting, all right, where people, these people, they went out, they couldn't talk to one another, they had to, holding conversations with one another on a low, they couldn't get caught speaking with one another and socializing, all right, or they pretty much suffer these consequences, all right, just to give like a little visual of what they're trying to put into place out there in the UK, all right. It says, speaking to reporters, Maxine's Minister Nadhim Zahawi said, we're reviewing all the restrictions, adding, I am worried about supermarkets and people actually wearing masks and following the one-way system and making sure when it's at a capacity, they wait outside the supermarket. We saw, we got a little taste of that, sometime last year during this whole, during the whole first lockdowns, and they would only allow certain amount of people into the store and whatnot, and they had the long lines and things of that nature. It says, I'm worried about some of the pictures I've seen of social interactions in parks. If you have to exercise, you can go out for exercise only. Zahawi said. The government source also told the Daily Telegraph that the current rule allowing people to meet up with one person from another house to exercise is being used as an excuse for people to go for a coffee in the park with their friends and will likely be scrapped. All right, because like with all things, man, like I said, basically, man, people are going to find like a loophole in the system, the way of doing things, to give themselves an excuse to basically socialize and interact with people, because there's always some type of loophole and whatnot, in the system, It says the source added that the government is discussing making sure people aren't using their own creativeness to interpret the rules how they want to. The report suggests that enforcement of the rules will be upped even more, with on-the-spot fines potentially being upped from 200 to 300, 500 actually, Slack, and the revelations come after a weekend where police were seen cracking down on people in the streets of Britain. Video emerged of police arresting people who were walking, sitting on benches, and drinking coffee outside. After the footage went viral, police claimed, without any evidence, that the whole thing was staged by anti-lockdown protesters. All right, and I don't know if you have seen these videos already. Basically people getting harassed for just being outside and sitting on benches. I'm not going to play the videos, but people just being harassed for just socializing and just sitting on the bench, sitting on benches, right? They got harassed, and even with that, these, because there were some videos where the policemen, they weren't even wearing masks and whatnot, some of the videos that came out, but nevertheless, man, more and more, all right, again, because the point I'm trying to get out of these articles, man, more shutdowns, more restrictions, more lockdowns. All right, more and more will this place become a police state. You know, that's kind of where I'm getting at with all, with these articles. All right, but that was that. All right, the title again, it says UK government may only let people out once a week. All right. And again, because best believe, man, things will get to a point where it's not gonna be nothing coming in and nothing coming out. Period. All right, no coming outside. All right, you better have your papers and things like that. All right, just like they showed in the movie, the Songbird movie. All right, if you haven't watched that yet, man, I encourage you to check it out, man. Because it seems like that's the type of setting that we're heading into. All right, with the more and more this virus mutates. All right, the more they have to basically contain it, supposedly, with via lockdowns and restrictions and things of that nature. All right, so on to the next article. So the next article here says PM says UK PM says UK going to 24/7 Crown Royal vaccinations as soon as possible and claims lockdown starting to have an effect. All right, because again, supposedly with these whole restrictions, because I forgot where I might have mentioned this in the video before. All right, because people were coming out about how people were talking about how this concerning these lockdowns and restrictions, man, that's not what was actually that's not really helping with the whole pandemic. All right, it's actually that's what's actually basically with these restrictions and lockdowns, man, it's causing more harm than good. All right, because with the lockdowns, businesses, damn nearly half the middle class, man, the middle class is damn nearly wiped out. All right, and, businesses are affected, unemployment. All right, and a lot of this stuff was going on is due to the the lockdowns and the restrictions. All right, a lot of businesses, only able to operate at like a 50% capacity, 25% capacity. All right, which that again, that's destroying businesses and whatnot. All right, so with the whole lockdowns, it's actually doing more harm than good, and that's what people were saying. But again, it's a whole system being set up, man. All right, so of course you will have, people, I'll say like these lower elites. All right, people that are in, that circle, agree with these lockdowns. All right, like it says here, the lockdowns are actually working. All right, because these people, man, they're all a part of the, the whole inner circle thing. They're all in cahoots. All right. But nevertheless, man, because you do got people waking up to the fact, like I said, these lockdowns, man, there are more and more, man, that this is what is doing more harm than good, and this is why more and more you're going to start seeing revolts and uprisings and tumults, the seditions that it talks about in 2nd Ezra 15 chapter. All right, because people are going to say the hell with it, man. And again, with all these, like with what happened at the DC, the storming of the Capitol. All right, I mean, they could very well use that as an excuse to say that, to ramp up numbers, and infections. All right, they could very well use that, and that could be the an excuse. The because of that, what took place, there's been a shit ton of more cases and infections and things of that nature, which in turn would justify the more lockdowns and the shutdowns and things of that nature. Because like I said, all right, what's going on in these other countries, and even more so here in the UK, which this is the focus of this video. What's going on over there in the UK? This stuff is coming over here. All right, and paying attention to what could possibly go down come inauguration, come the 20th, because they're expecting to basically all hell to break loose, and all and this is what they said, in all 50 states, all capitals in all 50 states, they could be stormings and protests and things of that nature. They're Um, they were talking about bomb threats and things of that nature. You know, so again, I mean, just going to wait and see concerning that. But nevertheless, sticking to the subject. It says the British Prime Minister has said the new national lockdown for England and similar measures across the UK are starting to bring down the C19 cases as the government eyes new 24/7 vaccination centers. Speaking to Parliament on Wednesday, Prime Minister Boris Johnson told lawmakers the only thing slowing down the vaccination program was access to the vaccines. Responding to a question from the opposition leader Keir Starmer concerning reports of overnight operating vaccine centers, Johnson replied, I can tell him that we'll be going to 24/7 as soon as we can, and the health secretary will be setting out more about that in due course. At the moment, the limit is on supply. We have a huge network of 233 hospitals, 1,000 GP surgeries, 200 pharmacies, and 50 mass vaccination centers. They are going exponentially fast in implementing the program, and I pay tribute to their work. Almost 2.5 million Britons have had their first vaccine dose, which is considerably more than anywhere in the EU. All right, and even out here in the States, man, certain places like Philadelphia and other places, they're setting up these vaccine centers. All right, and actually people are lining up to them. Some places it's already looking like a what do you call it, the Black Friday, right? With people, you got long lines of people waiting and whatnot. All right, that's how some of these vaccine centers are already looking here in the States. All right. Read a little more. It says, speaking earlier on Wednesday, virologist Dr. Chris Smith interviewed on the radio program Jeremy Vin on 5 said a nighttime C virus jab might not be as effective. Smith argued that a dose administered at night might trigger a more limited immune response. All right. It says the Prime Minister also insisted that the new national lockdown, which took effect from January 5th, was starting to have an impact on infection rates. It's early days. People must keep their discipline, keep enforcing the rules, and work together to roll out the vaccine program, he added. The UK has registered more than 40,000 new infections every day since late December. So you see more ramping up of these numbers. All right. And again, with that, all right, because, again, for the most part, people know that this is all, a lot of people know that this is, all of it's horseshit. So they're going to continue to do what they do, and they're going to continue to defy orders, they're going to continue to defy the regulations. All right. Now, I think it's out there in the UK. I don't know if it's out there in the UK or out here in the States, but some of the banks are going to start declining you, to take out money, if you don't comply with the face mask thing, So again, because with more and more of the restrictions, this is how they're going to get people to bend to their will, man. And eventually get people to take the vaccine and ultimately the microchip. All right, because like it's been saying, man, this concerning this whole vaccine, man, it's coming in the same spirit of the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip. It's coming in the same spirit. All right, you gotta out there, I think it was in Germany. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's out there in Germany, but they were talking about how they're like turning, I think it was in like an old prison or something, but basically they're turning it into a massive, like a big quarantine center. All right, because like I've said before, man, soon, man, they're gonna have it to where anyone that speaks against this stuff, man, this is why videos are getting clipped left and right. Videos are getting taken down left and right. Channels are getting taken down. Videos are getting striked. All right, because this information that's coming out. All right, and but nevertheless, going back to what I saw earlier, and I saw some of the elder brothers that I watched. They went into it, but out there in Germany, they're with the big quarantine center. all right, and people that basically refuse to get down with the program, all right, because that's what this all is, man. It's all a mental, it's all a psyop. It's all a mental psyop, you know, and you know, just getting people to get down with the program, you know, making people's lives harder than what it already is. All right, so people would just be like, man, the hell with it, man, because you know, here it is. People are desperate to get back to the quote, um, you know, the you know, get back to quote normal, right? And again, you know, all the stuff that's coming out, man. You know, if it's not clear by now, nothing's getting back to normal. All right, you know, get ready for a dystopian, a type of a future, a dystopian type of setting. All right, you know, not being able to socialize and you know, talk to, you know, just being able to socialize. You know, they basically they want you to be like just robots out here. You know, just following orders. You know, listening and doing everything that the government says. All right, and actually I did look that word up in the etymology online. All right, dystopia. Right. It says imaginary bad place. It says from dys, which it means bad, abnormal. Then goes on to say ending abstracted from utopia. Earlier in medical use, displacement of an organ. All right, and then it goes on to say with second element from Greek topos. Then it goes on to say place. All right, so basically, again, you know, all in all, this word dystopia goes back to, you know, a bad place. All right, because again, you know, this is the times that this is going to be the new normal. All right, like I said, you know, a dystopian type of setting. All right, you know, being that, you know, I don't know if this because I know, you know, they deployed all these troops out there in DC. I don't know if they did that in all 50 states or it was just out there in DC. But basically, all right, because like I said, you know, more and more you're gonna start seeing, um, more and more this place is gonna become a militarized state, more and more of a police state. All right, more and more. All right, you know, because pretty soon, man, these vaccine centers, all right, you know, with whatever personnel that they got, all right, you know, soon, man, they're all these staff and whatnot, man, you know, it's gonna be everything's gonna be controlled, and it's gonna be controlled via the military. All right, you know, like I've mentioned this before, like when the whole first shutdown, last year, um, you know, you had, you know, you go to your local supermarkets or whatnot. You know, you had employees directing traffic. It was one lane. You had to go in this lane and out that lane, exit only, interest only, and stuff like that. Right. Well, that's coming back. You know, and it's coming back on a you know, it's going to be on a whole nother scale. And with that, it's going to be with military. You know, like I said, you know, the whatever personnel, man, these stores, man, whatnot, man. You know, I see long lines. All right, what do you call it? Rationalizing food and supplies and things of that nature, right? And it's all gonna be, you're gonna have military. You know, you're gonna see Humvee tanks and all, you know, all type of stuff. This is what it's all leading to. All right, and again, you know, this is gonna take place here. So that was it on that, and I just wanted to pull this one real quick because this is the new variant supposedly that they found out there in Brazil. It says UK bans all arrivals from Portugal in South America after discovery of Brazil C19 variant. All right. So there's another, supposedly there's another variant that they found out there in South America. And I didn't read this yet, but I'm just going to go ahead and read it. It says the UK will ban all travel from South America from Portugal from 4 a.m. GMT on Friday after discovery of a new C19 variant in Brazil. And because also there was another article, I was going to do a video on it, but the spirit wasn't really on me to do it. But it said concerning this new variant they found in the UK, you know, because, you know, the UK, they didn't shut their borders, you know. Let me see if I can find that real quick. See if I can get that real quick. And I'm just going to read the title. I'm not going to read the article, but it says, why hasn't the UK closed its borders to stop the virus spread, right? Because again, being that this is where this um, the new variant that everyone's talking about, it came from the UK, all right. But if that was so, why haven't they closed their borders yet? And like I said, man, this is all controlled, man. They want these things, like what you see going on, man. They want these things to go on, all right. Because like I said, man, they will be not so wise to let up on this. All right, this whole pandemic thing, man, is a perfect scapegoat for what these elites want to or are trying to accomplish. So they will be very unwise to let up on it. So this is why they didn't close the borders. This is why UK hasn't stopped nothing coming in and nothing coming out. If they truly wanted it to stop, to stop the spread, they would have closed the borders. But again, it's all controlled. All right. But that was that. Going back to this, it says UK bound travelers from Argentina, Bolivia, Cape Verde, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, French Guiana, Guyana, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, so on and so forth. It says this measure does not apply to British and Irish nationals and third country nationals with residence rights, but passengers returning from these destinations must self-isolate for 10 days along with their households, Shaps said in a tweet. Portugal has been included on the list due to its strong travel links to Brazil, the minister said. The measure comes after Japanese health officials said last week that they had detected a new C virus variant in 4 travelers who had arrived in Tokyo from Brazil's Amazonas state on January 2nd. Of the passengers, a man in his 40s had trouble breathing, while a woman in her 30s suffered a headache and sore throat, and a teenage boy had a fever, and a teenage girl was asymptomatic, the Japanese Ministry of Health said. It says the Japanese government this week expanded its state of emergency to 7 more districts where health authorities detected the new virus strain. All right, and again, man, it's just more horse shit because a lot of this stuff, man, is just common stuff that we catch on a regular basis. All right, because they're always coming out with these new symptoms of this virus, right? And it's basic stuff, like a headache, vomiting or whatever, man. It's basic stuff. So now that if you catch anything, man, basically, that you got the virus, And again, man, because it's all horseshit, man. It's very tiring, man. Because you got people that actually believe in this nonsense, And I tell people, yeah, concerning this virus, man, it's a real thing, man. It's something really out there, but the fear that they put behind it, man. I mean, y'all, these people gotta wake up, man, and stop being so. These people just got to wake up, man. Believe in everything that the government tells them, whatnot. Everything that they put out there. And like I said earlier, man, this is what they people that speak up against this. The free thinkers. People that actually, somewhat think rationally and whatnot. They're gonna become an enemy soon. So this is why, like I mentioned, what they got out there in Germany with the quarantine center, right? And because that's gonna start. Slowly but surely, that's going to start becoming more and more mainstream, because it still sounds like a far-fetched idea, all right? But nevertheless, man, the scriptures tell you, and I'll go ahead and get into some scriptures now, but even with, some of the articles that I read, man, they said that, people coming from, what was that, South America, man, they got to quarantine for, it said 10 days, all right, which 10 just represents, it's another one of those numbers that represents completion, all right, but nevertheless, man, the scriptures talk about how people are going to get locked up, man. Revelations 3 and actually it's verse 2. Revelations the 2nd chapter, verse 10. Revelations 2 and 10, it says, "For fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. So again, because some of the articles said that traveling from these places, with these new variants or whatnot, all right, they want you to isolate 10 days and things of that nature, all right. It says, "Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life." All right, because again, and I just read that because people still think it's a far-fetched idea that with these quarantine centers, all right, these re-education centers, all right, that which again, these re-education centers, people that speak, they basically think logically, and speak up against these things, all right. Those are going to be the people that they're going to be hauling off to these re-education centers and whatnot, right? Because they're a threat, you know. But nevertheless, man, basically, what I wanted to get into, get this. That would be Deuteronomy 28. Because again, this is what you're going to start seeing, and had a few precepts lined up, but I felt that I was pretty long-winded enough, so I'll just get this, and I'll get in 2nd Ezra 15. Deuteronomy 28 in verse 52. It says, "And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high and fenced walls come down." All right, because again, this is what you're going to start seeing more and more of besieging of these cities. All right, martial law. All right, they're going to start setting up checkpoints. You're going to start seeing military checkpoints. Because now in some places they have it to where, concerning this, the with the isolation and whatnot, the self-quarantine, right? Right now it's kind of like voluntary, they're basically, giving you advice that you should, if you're coming from certain areas or whatnot, you should self-isolate, quarantine and whatnot. All right, but eventually we'll get to a point where, this stuff is going to be mandatory. All right. And like I said, because I'm not sure. For sure they have, the troops out there in DC, but I'm not sure if they have military spread throughout all 50 states, because they're basically expecting all capitals in all 50 states to be attacked or something like that. So I'm not sure if they have military, but basically the point being that military is already here. All right. And they're already spread throughout in certain places. All right. This goes back to last year, because even what Trump said, what he said last year, with the whole Operation Warp Speed, they were going to use the military. All right, so the Trump is already here. It's like the military, they're already here and they're already spread throughout in certain places. All right, so like I said, man, more and more you're going to start seeing a besieging of these cities and whatnot. You're going to start seeing more and more military personnel. All right. Because they're basically going to be used as the hand, for these elites to get the job done. Because it's something more like an intimidating factor. It's just something about a uniformed officer, uniformed personnel with MP rifles and things like that. The people tend to be a little more compliant, but nevertheless, man, this is what you're going to start seeing, man. All right. And what they got going on out there in the UK as well as other places, man. Again, that stuff slowly but surely is going to start coming here. It's going to start touching down here in America. So don't be surprised, man. All right. Because there's videos coming out about how they are people are putting up these sharing these videos, people recording, and they got the military, military tanks and whatnot, military vehicles being transported and stuff like that. All right. Read on here. It says, "Wherein thou trusted throughout all thy land, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which Yahweh thy power hath given thee." All right. So you see, so again, expect more and more of a military presence, military checkpoints, and things of that nature. All right. And I'm gonna get this one, and I'll pretty much wrap it up. 2nd Ezra 15, and because like I said before, depending on what happens, come inauguration, man, that could they could very well lead to full-blown martial law. You know, Trump already signed the Insurrection Act. All right. America's getting ready to get invaded by foreign troops, man. You know, best believe that. But let me get this, man. Because again, even with that, you know, because I'm just going to get to the point here. But even with that, you know, because again, with more and more restrictions and more lockdowns, all right, you know, the people, man, they're not going to be with it, man. You know, Esau knows that they're going to get backlash. You know, they know people aren't going to are going to buck up against it. So this is why again they're going to use the military. All right. But second Esdras 15 and 17 it says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why? Because martial law. All right. This place is going to be completely shut down. Eventually, we'll get to that point. Nothing coming in, nothing coming out, curfews, all that, checkpoints, all that. All right. You know, so again, man, you know, you can expect more and more of a military presence, worldwide and more so here in America, man. You know, so you know, just something that you know, I've been looking out for, paying attention to what's going on out there in the UK, being that you know she is the mother of this place of America. All right, Babylon the Great. All right, you know, just continue to keep our eyes out, man, and watch what's going on, man. All right, because slowly but surely, man, the stuff is gonna come here, one way or the other. You know, so with that, hopefully this was edifying. Hopefully I didn't rant on too much, but once again, I'm gonna give all credit to you. How about Shemel Shai? And double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And until next time, Lord's will, I say shalom.